Some big news just released. Also, some new reports out pointing toward a focused stimulus check. I have all the details for you in this video. Let's get into it right now. But if you're new here or if you haven't done so, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as information is changing very, very rapidly right now. But I'm here for you every single day with all the latest details as I'm doing the research on your behalf so that you don't need to, and I distill it all down right into these short videos, which I deliver a couple times every single day so that you can get all the latest details and updates as they're happening every single day in real time. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe by hitting that button right down below, and let's get right into the updates. All right, so first off, I do want to talk about some new information that was just released, and then we will transition into these focused reports about a stimulus check. All right, so let's get right into this, as this is some very important information. So we got the new inflation data that was just released this morning. Now, prior to the release of this information, they were anticipating anywhere between 7.2 and 7.3% year-over-year increases in inflation. The number came in 7.5%, and it came in at 0.6% month over month. Now, to put that into perspective a little bit more clearly here, this is the highest inflation data number that we have seen in 40 years since 1982. This is a massive, massive number. In fact, to put it into perspective a little bit further, some of the headlines that I've been seeing today are reading something along the lines of inflation is soaring at 40-year highs, hammering Americans and wiping out pay raises. And yes, when we're talking about pay raises, we're also relating to the cost of living adjustment, which I know that a lot of you right here in the community are receiving some kind of fixed income benefit, Social Security, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA, any of these benefits, and that little 5.9% raise that we thought was so good back in October of last year when it was released, yeah, that's nothing anymore, right? We're practically 2% lower, or sorry, the inflation now is practically 2% higher than the cost of living adjustment that everybody started receiving at the beginning of the year. It's nothing anymore, right? I think at this point, a lot of us would probably just be crossing our fingers that inflation goes back down to 5.9%, right? Let's get real here. So this is a massive, massive number. So this is actually somewhat a little bit scary too going forward, because here's what the analysts are saying already today. They're anticipating next month's report will likely be even higher. Yes, you named it. So here's what's going on here. They're actually looking at this and they're anticipating that we're still moving up the mountain, right? So pretty much every month when these inflation numbers come out, they continue to get bigger and bigger. They're still predicting that we have not even hit the summit of the mountain yet, as in we haven't even hit the apex, the peak of the mountain. They're anticipating that we are still moving up this thing right here. So they're talking about next month still going up even more. Now at the same time, this is still tending to lead toward the point of the Federal Reserve raising interest rates next month in March. And again, we could be looking at 25 basis points, 1/4%, or 0.5%, which is 50 basis points. So now, why do we all care about this? Again, I want to mention this really, really fast. I've talked about this in previous videos, but let me say this again. First off, inflation truly is hammering people right now. I think all of us are living this. We totally get it. Every time we go out, literally week after week after week, prices continue to go up every single week. In fact, in one of my videos yesterday, I told you about this new, the new brand, Mondelez. This is also raising prices by 7% next month on products like Ritz crackers, Oreos, things like this. Not only that, all of these other brands out there that are also raising prices 6 to 30%, multiple percentage points. I mean, we're seeing this across the board on literally everything right now. At the same time, gas prices are hitting, what, 7-year highs or something right now? I mean, seriously, it is nuts with everything going on. So we certainly need to watch this very, very closely. But anyway, all of this is leading into the Federal Reserve needing to step in and actually do something about this, which would be raise interest rates. Well, if they do that, then what happens? Maybe inflation comes down, but let's be real for a second. inflation is not going to be phased by a quarter point hike in interest rates or even 0.5%. It's probably going to do absolutely nothing to inflation. So that's kind of the situation that we're dealing with. So when they raise interest rates, ultimately, it's just going to mean that we're going to pay more on any kind of outstanding debts that we may have. Maybe loans on credit cards or at like outstanding balances on credit cards, personal loans, lines of credit, anything like this that has an adjustable rate. Well, unfortunately, that's going to be moving higher. So yeah, it's kind of a lose-lose situation. But anyway, now let's quickly talk about these new reports that I'm seeing already today talking about a focused stimulus check. Now, when I say focused, I'm talking about seniors, people with disabilities, those individuals living on a fixed income from Social Security, retirement, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA benefits. Now, why would these people be eligible potentially for a focused stimulus check? Now, before I get into this, I want to make it very, very clear so there's no misunderstanding. At this point right now, there is not an approved stimulus check quite yet, okay? Of course, we're still watching everything, as always, still doing the research. Anything could happen at any given point, but I just want to throw that out there so that there's no misunderstanding saying, I said this. No, I'm just telling you what's going on here. All right, so these reports that I'm finding already today are saying because of this inflation moving up so incredibly fast right now, and like I said, the headlines that I'm reading today are saying that inflation is soaring 40-year highs and hammering Americans. I've literally seen that headline today. So my point is, these focused reports that I'm seeing about a focused stimulus check are talking about exactly that. This inflation that is hammering, even the higher income people are getting pinched by this right now. So I could tell you report after report after report that I'm seeing every single day how people don't have money anymore. We've depleted all of our savings, if we even had any in the first place. We're floating more balances on credit cards. We're taking out more personal loans just to get by with the same old expenses that we've always had, right? Well, at that rate, I continue to see these reports, like I said this today. I've seen these reports today so far talking about this focused stimulus check focused on the fixed income of all these benefits that I mentioned a second ago, Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA, simply because these individuals are living on a small fixed income from, federal benefits, and therefore this inflation is literally eating people up right now. And as a result of that, there's this talk about potentially a focused stimulus check. Now, again, we have to be very, aware of this. And just remember, this is what is being said out there. Just because it's being talked about doesn't mean it's going to be an approved thing quite yet. I know, I wish I could be here telling you right now that it's been approved and that it's going to be going out. But again, it has not been approved yet. I just want to make this very, very clear so that there's no misunderstanding. But anyway, so this is what's being mentioned right now. So on one hand, we have this massive inflation number that is looking really bad. I mean, seriously, let's be real with ourselves. This is not a good situation. With inflation moving this high, this fast, it's not good. Now, I can already throw this down right now. I'd be willing to throw some money down on this and make a bet. The president will be out today and say, we need to pass the Build Back Better agenda immediately to lower inflation. I'm sorry, that's not going to lower inflation. Spending $2 trillion is not going to lower inflation, okay? But again, that's what he continues to say. So I'd almost be willing to bet that he's going to come out today and say that. But anyway, I could be totally wrong, but I'm just going to bet you almost anything that he will come out and say that today. So we'll have to see if I'm right with that one, but it could be interesting. But the point is, the whole purpose behind a focused check would be help out all of these fixed income beneficiaries because literally this inflation is eating up the benefit. As I mentioned so many times in previous videos, the purchasing power of your dollars is literally depleting almost every single day. What you can buy for $1 is very dramatically different today than what you could buy for $1 a year ago. And even what you could buy with $1 2 years ago at the beginning of, say, 2020. It's very, very different. Think back then. What could you buy when you went out to the store? When you were living on, your fixed income benefit, which was actually much smaller back then, 2 years ago, it was actually quite a bit smaller. But when you went out to the stores then, were you struggling just as much then as you are now? I'm going to be willing to bet you probably weren't struggling as much then as you are now. Let's be real, right? I think all of us recognize what the last 2 years have done to all of us here. It's eating people up. I mean, let's just say it how it is. This is what's happening, right? So I've seen it down in the comments section time after time. In fact, last night, in my last video that I posted yesterday, I had that report out. Well, actually, it wasn't a report. It was a statement out of Bernie Sanders that I was talking about. Bernie was out yesterday saying that people are losing sleep over prescription prices and the climate. And then I asked you right here in the community, I said, are you losing sleep over this? Because apparently Bernie Sanders thinks that we are. And many of you were reaching out saying, no, I'm not losing any sleep over prescription prices and the climate. I'm losing sleep over wondering where my next meal is going to come from. I'm losing sleep over wondering how I'm going to pay my bills when I have 23 cents left in my account and there's still half the month left to go. So there's so many comments on that video from yesterday. Many of you reaching out saying, I'm not losing sleep over this stuff that Bernie Sanders says we're losing sleep over. I'm losing sleep over wondering when we're going to get some financial relief, when we're going to get a raise to our benefits, when we're going to get a stimulus check to help us out right now because we're getting smoked with everything going on, right? So anyway, I appreciate all the feedback on that video. I was wondering if I was completely missing something, but according to many of you here in the community and what I was reading in the comment section on that video, it seems that Bernie, unfortunately, may not know what's actually going on in the real world and what people are actually worried about right now. And honestly, it's not really prescriptions and it's not the climate. But maybe that is a worry in the back of our minds on some aspects, but for the most part, I don't think that's like a forefront worry, right? I don't think many of us are losing sleep over the climate. But maybe some of us are. Don't get me wrong. I like the climate. I think the earth is great, stuff like this. But I think there's more pressing issues at the front of our mind right now, right? Again, just based on what I was seeing in the comment section on that video from yesterday, that's what it's looking like to me and what many of you here in the community are saying. So when it comes down to this inflation data, I know that a lot of you here in the community are probably thinking, I don't care about the inflation data. Don't tell us about that. But the deal is we've got to watch this very closely because the inflation data is all going to translate into potentially this focus check, right? Now, again, will they come due and will they actually follow through on some of these reports and some of the talk about a focus check? I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you, but honestly, I don't know that. We just have to continue watching it to see what actually happens. But this certainly builds a much stronger case for a focus check. I mean, if we're sitting here trying to build a case on something, this would certainly do it, right? Talking about inflation at the highest rate in 40 years and how people are struggling to get by on a teeny tiny sub-poverty line monthly benefit, I feel like this would certainly build a pretty strong case for sending out a focused stimulus check for these individuals, right? But again, this is just us. What we're saying here, we need to get Congress on board and we need to get the president on board because ultimately, unfortunately, they're the ones who have the final say and they're the ones who have the authority to get it done on our behalf. So yeah, wow, some interesting stuff going on already today, but don't worry, I'm here for you with all the latest details. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe down below, share this video with your friends, family, and social media, and go back and check out any of the other 2,100 plus videos right here on the channel. And of course, I will continue watching everything very, very closely and keep you updated as I get more details on any of these reports coming out right now, any further talk on maybe a focused check of any kind, but I feel like the whole petition that the Senior Citizens League gathered signatures for way back in September of last year that they introduced to Congress in October, I feel like the basis for that is building very, very strong right now, especially with all this inflation and everything going on. I feel like they're building a very strong case for why another check is highly, highly needed for the lowest and fixed income. So again, that's what I'm saying. But again, at the end of the day, Congress, it's all about them, right? Unfortunately, but we have to do what they say. So anyway, hope you're doing well. Please enjoy your day. Stay safe out there. I'm here for you every single day in any way that I can with all the latest updates to help you out and to make sure that you're staying updated. So enjoy your day, subscribe down below, and I will catch you